things like that. We also notice some levels of parking on the roads, and in terms of walkability, if one were to walk in the city, you would have to negotiate these kind of situations. Um, Sometimes lack of footpath, sometimes too high curbstones, sometimes things on the footpath which make you, which will have you to go down and walk. Vendors, all kinds of, and this is typical of any other city. So it's not like, only Guwahati has these problems. It's mostly all the cities that we work in have similar issues. Now, when we do an analysis of the modal share, you have about 40 to 50% of the people travel trips being on private transport, and NMT is still 18 to 20%, which is quite good for the city. What happens is when we do not have a good infrastructure to walk, then, at home, kids, when they have to go to school or when they have to go to parties or whatever, they will start demanding that a car take them out. Elderly at home, they have to go to the hospital, they have to go to the temple. They also expect a car to take them out. And obviously, people who are going to the workplace and wherever, the car. So we are designing our cities around cars. That's the reality of most Indian cities. And this is what we want to, flag as an issue, that is this the way we want to become smart? Is this sustainable? Where is this going to lead us? What is happening now is, as you increase population, you have obviously a number of cars going up. There's a demand for more road space, more flyovers. I think somebody here on the dais talked about building more flyovers is not your solution. And this is why it is not, because, the more flyovers you build and the more easy road space is available, again, people will buy more cars and lead you back to here. And you'll keep on doing this. This spiral will never end. We tried it in Delhi. A lot of other cities have tried it. N number of flyovers. 2 years down the line, again congestion. Asking for one more flyover over the existing flyover. So it's never going to get us anywhere. So what is a smart solution to this? I mean, we're just throwing up these ideas. Now, what is this doing? It's creating traffic congestion, parking problems, air and noise pollution, accidents, sprawl, all kinds of health problems because of this one issue plaguing most of our cities. When you look at a picture like this, what happens? For me, it tells me how smart the city is. This looks so peaceful, so worked out. It's, it kind of respects human dignity, people walking on the street. For me, streets they form the image of the city, very simply. What I see of a city on the street, I can make out what is the city all about. If I see a street like that, for me, that is smart. And this is what I've been trying to do in lots of our work, trying to showcase, how we can get there, and how you want the street to treat its people. How do the people demand for these high-quality walking environments rather than a car-based infrastructure? Now, again, coming back to where we are, and you see this is one of the main roads in the city, and you'll see a whole line of parked cars there, and there is obviously congestion during peak hours. So one wonders, like, in Delhi, we were having a discussion with somebody. In Delhi, we can't park a car on the road. I mean, the road is for moving people, not parking cars. Now, in terms of whatever road space we have, there's a thing called equitable distribution of space. So we think of a pedestrian as important as a car, and we divide the road space in a way that you get all the modes together. So any street, any width, you can do that, and you'll have enough space to make a decent footpath happen. In the master plan, we have, in the comprehensive mobility plan and in the master plan, we have seen some new roads are being proposed in the city, which I think is absolutely vital to improve the network. Right now, we have these radial roads all of which land up in that center where the Paltan Bazaar and all of that area is. But these roads, if they start getting connected along these ring kind of developments, then it'll ease off pressure on your roads and help the network, because people can then, instead of going right up there and coming down, can just go from there if they have to travel there. There are a whole lot of bridges being planned across the various small rivers that we have. There are a whole lot of overbridges being planned across the railway line. I'm sure all of this will help in terms of easing out the network problems that we have in the city. Now, one of the ideas was that why don't we take up the road situation and the pedestrianization of the roads and having footpaths as one of the programs that we can include in the smart city plan. So retrofitting would be the category, and all the main roads could probably be looked at as one option, where we reclaim the road space and put in footpaths for the entire city to move. So this is how we'll. There are a lot of standards nowadays. We actually worked in Delhi on this set of standards by UTPEC, where we actually define how much is the road space that is needed for a minimum level of a footpath with a wheelchair user, a cyclist, and all of that. And you can get this, it's all available online. So I think as one of the programs, we can do it. Now this is existing, what used to exist once upon a time, and this is what finally got done in Delhi. And this is like we put it up like that. Now, on our roads also, there's a whole lot of space. In fact, we have 3 lanes. Like I told you, this lane normally has got parked vehicles, which we could have a parking policy and put in a bus lane, and it could start looking like that, and then your footpaths could be done better, and the whole city can suddenly change and become more walkable. Now, in Delhi, we also had a lot of these barriers for earlier, and now all of this has been ramped up to make it work for what we call barrier-free environment for the city. Shade, planters. So you basically start doing what we call a walking culture, meaning people who are walking on the streets also need to sit down, they need some shade, they need some activity. So you plan the whole street along those kind of lines. And this again is a street in the city where we overlooking the river. And then you have, what happens is typically on that street, if there's a bus stopping, so all the traffic behind it gets clogged up. So if we can somehow plan a little bus bay, which will ease out the pressures. So like that, we have calculated this project does qualify in terms of the required area and size to become one of the retrofit projects. And these are some more examples, and some of the existing situations where you have high curbstones, and this is something that will become unusable for a lot of people, elderly, kids, mothers with prams, and wheelchair users. So how do we address that? That could be one solution. We have done it in Delhi. The footpath moves at one level, the car goes up and down. If you're walking on the footpath, you're moving at one level, and your car goes up and then goes down. So this is a level of detail that has been achieved in Delhi. And here there are all these infrastructure that is being built for creating foot over bridges, but most of the time I found them to be locked at a few places. So anyways, it's in Delhi we are kind of this becomes more difficult for a pedestrian to go up and down rather than cross that street there. So we can design safe junctions with on-level crossings. Now parking is another thing. Like if we're going to allow parking on the main road, obviously this road is going to get congested. So most of the roads have parking, and as a policy matter, parking is something where parking can change a city completely. In fact, one of the things that we have to understand in this smart city proposal is also how we intend for the programs to finance themselves. Like what I told you, the financial outlay, apart from that, what are the smart kind of features that we can bring in terms of generating more funds to do all these projects. So one of the things was that parking could actually be used as a tool to pay for your program of the retrofitting of the streets. Like, this is your present condition. There is one perpendicular park and there's another one parallel park, so hardly leaves any space. So if you were to actually allow all those parked cars to go away from there and be parked, and by the way, the city is already making a whole lot of parking, multi-level parking lots. So once you have these multi-level parking lots, then the problem is that nobody will use that unless you have a very strong enforcement policy on the street, like what we have in Delhi. Nobody, if anybody here is familiar with the roads in Delhi, nobody can think of parking on the road. It's impossible even to think that you can just go and park anywhere. So things like that which will come through as part of the and a lot of cities across the world have done this. They've got a smart parking solution. They charge their parking spots. They identify all the parking. And once that is done, then that money, which is then what is the city is going to earn from parking, is pumped back into the project, creating better facilities on the road for other users like pedestrians and cyclists and things like that. So parking supply and parking management, parking pricing, this is a huge topic which is interconnected with your streets. So streets and streetscaping and retrofitting of streets for footpaths and creating better walkability is what the first proposal looks at. The second point which they have listed out is preserving and developing open spaces in the city. Now these are not points that we have picked up. We went to the website, understood what the Smart City program is all about, and we have brought out these points for you to actually see where they want all the cities to go. So this is a mandate which is being set up by the MOUD that the Smart City Challenge should address these points. Now, preserving and developing open spaces, we think it can become a pan-city proposal for the city of Guwahati. You have, like I told you, you have amazing amount of varied natural heritage in terms of having a mighty river there. You have a Ramsar site, wetland lake out there. You have the hills, and then you have the small rivulets which collect all the stormwater and flow into the river. Now, one of the proposals is that, or what I read and what I saw of the city, the state of the existing, and most of the parks also I saw are kind of fenced up, and some of them are charged, some of them are free, but all of them have a very strong fence and a sense of security to come in and not. We have a lot of these linear kind of rivulets, drains, or whatever you want to call them, which look like that, and most of the time are carrying just not purely storm water. It's obviously mixed with sewage, or I don't know, there's something that smells out there. And so we need to engage, as a city we have, we look at this every day, and in terms of engagement, I don't see too much of engagement. There is a flood program going on, there is some floodgates being created, the whole situation being looked at. But what I'm saying, this as a space, as an open space in the city, because all your green areas in the city actually need to be active, need to be contributing to people, need to be accessible for kids. Now, can this become something is the question. Can we do a smart rethink on what we have here? So we obviously looked at all the all of these channels and the present current kind of infrastructure being built around them, and the kind of space that we have on hand. So this is one of the lake kind of things along one of these channels, where you have some kind of a promenade for pedestrians being built there, and very beautiful. I think it's like fantastic to have such kind of facilities in your city. If you could open this for boating, if you could open this for I mean, recreation. If you could open this for tourism, I don't know, open it for cycling. Presently, we of course have a whole lot of infrastructure for pumping out. So we started reimagining these. Like, suppose this is your existing situation. Can it start looking like something like that, where you have, like a wetland landscape, which the landscape itself is treating the water. You allow for some boating, you allow for some cycling, you allow for some walking, and the whole place turns into a parkway for you. And suddenly, like one decision like this can add nearly 500 acres of usable recreational space to your city from nowhere. You already have it. You just need to reprogram, rethink, maybe relook at the options that we have. So this, I feel, why I was listing it in Pan City was because it spans across the city. Now, once a city can start having this kind of a facility, then, I mean, just imagine the amount of trips people could complete using this. They don't have to depend on their car. Anyways, our city is very small, and most of the radial roads we were measuring are not more than 10 kilometers, 8 to 10 kilometers. Now, an average trip on any one of these roads would be like 4, 5, 6 kilometers, and those easily qualify for a NMT trip, what we mean non-motorized transport or walking. So if you have a cycle, or if you have a cycle shuttle or a cycle rickshaw, which is plying around down this beautiful greenway, you don't have to depend on your car. So car dependency is creating pollution, is creating congestion, is creating accidents, is creating parking problems. It's the biggest problem in any city. How do you get out of that? That's the smart challenge for me. Now, again, this is just my kind of interpretation. Obviously, the floor will be open in the next session, where all of us will start, kind of putting in our ideas jointly. We tried a similar exercise in Delhi, where what you see is the dark green is the drain channel, and we connected that to the existing, light greens are the existing parks, and the dark green here was 700 acres in south of Delhi, which was, again, land so degraded that nobody goes there. It's like a, it's a shame what we have there, and what we propose to do with it is something like this. So just now, a space in the city where no engagement happens, meaning people just have a space, but just lying there. I mean, it's doing nothing for you, you're doing nothing for it. And then suddenly that space starts working. Now, when I say that space starts working, we can actually plan this whole greenway corridor to, help you clean your water. Plants have the power to clean dirty water. This can be a natural cleansing system for the whole, for the entire city. So we have done these kind of proposals for various cities like Jaipur and Rajkot, and this is kind of visualization that we have. Now, that coming back to Guwahati, the open space master plan would look at integrating your lake, your riverfront, your green areas around these drain channels, and we could have a fantastic pan city proposal which looks at wastewater treatment, stormwater management. It could be for hiking and cycling. It could connect up all your heritage. It could become the city's new open space master plan. It could also look at adding recreation and tourism, like I told you. And obviously, the funding or the business plan of this would capture all the value. And I'm sure we'll be able to find enough funding for this on its own also. So this is how the Greenway will help you engage, celebrate, connect, gather, walk, cycle around the city. The length of the channels in Guwahati is something like 50 kilometers long, all of these channels combined. So I think it's a fantastic candidate to be taken up as a pan city proposal. You could do all of this. You could create, sports connectors. All the kids could go to school on the cycle. They could go to the sports fields, And we started working out what all possibilities does the cross section allow us. And presently, what is happening is, because the situation is so bad, people are turning their backs towards this natural kind of a resource that we have. And this is what we want to do. We want them to start engaging from there to there. That's what we are hoping that the city can achieve. How will it happen? Obviously, there'll be a cleaning process. We'll be looking at accessibility. We'll be looking at placemaking. Very simple concepts. Catch the pollutant at the source, rather than it's easier to treat this one drop of pollutant rather than a full volume of polluted water. We've done similar projects in Delhi. This is the Shadra Jheel, where again a polluted lake was revived and is actually being fed by treated sewage water. So, and like I told you, plants actually help us to do this. In landscape, we can, there are these floating plants which come on the water body and keep on cleaning your water, and they just keep on. This has been tried in Bangalore. A lot of places now, a lot of know-how developed in India to handle these kind of situations. So this is what we can do. We can open up and clean up and then restore it, reclaim all your land, so that and give it back to the people to enjoy. Some more examples that what we imagine that place start looking like in Delhi. And international examples of wetlands and eco parks. So bringing back ecology. Now we thought, okay, fine, we can do this. Like I told you, 10%, somewhere it's written, 10% of my energy in the city has to come through solar. Now, when I'm walking, a lot of times it might be sunny, it might suddenly start raining. Suppose I do a weather shade structure and use solar panels. So I get a solar ribbon all across my city. Because ultimately, where am I going to generate that energy? That 10% of my solar energy has to be located somewhere. So instead of wasting prime land, taking up somebody's land, or this is a fantastic way where we can generate solar energy while doing cleaning up the city, while making spaces for people to walk and people to cycle, and something similar what was done in Gujarat when Modi ji was CM. What he did was he put solar panels on the canal, because it's pretty hot out there and a lot of water used to be lost due to evaporation. And by doing this, he first of all didn't have to acquire any land to put up the solar panels. At the same time, because of the shade, the water losses were reduced. So one solution, lot of impact. That is the whole idea. Lot of open space we have. We have, of course, the Deepar Bill, and we have our sanctuaries. We have that's Deepar Bill. Now, and a lot of tourist attractions, our temples, all of that. Just imagine if it all gets connected through a walkable, cyclable kind of